Hello everybody, welcome back to Three Guys on Mike. I'm Little Man joined by my co-host
William.
And today we're going to get into the AFC West and the NFC West division predictions. But before we get into that, I just want to say please like and subscribe to the video. It really means a lot. We appreciate it. And let's get into it.
Tied up by Green, throws it back up top. James puts up the three. Oh, it's gone! LeBron James from downtown.
And we're going to start off with the AFC West first. This is a division that could be up in the air. All these teams are arguably Super Bowl contending teams. I think that they'll all make the playoffs. I truly believe all four teams will make the playoffs. But let's go ahead and start from 4-1.
Okay, so starting off with 4, and keep in mind I have all these teams, like you said. If not playoffs, I think they could really make it close, you know. And I think all these teams are Super Bowl hopefuls. I think all of them think Super Bowl or bust when it comes to their season. But right now, 4, I have the Broncos. I have the Broncos at 10-7, ceiling 13-4. Now the reason why I have the Broncos at 10-7 in 4th place is because I think there's too many question marks revolving this roster and this team. Brand new head coach. I love the addition of Russ. I think he's a top 10 quarterback, one of the best leaders in the NFL. I just think that there's too many questions with the offensive line. We don't know necessarily how the receivers are going to play. We know that they have potential. We know that they have big play potential, especially having Russ as their quarterback, but we just don't know how consistent they're going to be. I like the additions of Alex Singleton and Randy Gregory on their defense. I think their front seven is going to be top 10 again like it was last year. But yeah, I just think it's too hard for them to really get it going. And I do like their run game. I think that Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, I think they're two really good running backs. I just don't know how their offensive line is going to play. And we don't know how their defense is going to stack up against teams in their division. I think the biggest thing also is we look at these teams individually, right? But it's all coming down to who could get the most division wins. And I don't think that the Broncos stack up that well against other teams, at least right now on paper. We have to see them play first. So that's why I have them at 4.
Okay. At 4, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. I love the addition of Devontae Adams and playing with his college quarterback, you know. Putting up video game numbers in college. I think it will transfer over to the NFL as well. But they just have a lot of questions going in. How is Josh McDaniels going to be? Because everybody knows that his resume as a head coach isn't really good. Darren Waller is going into the season already injured. I think him playing week 1 is kind of up in the air that no one really knows.
For who?
Darren Waller.
Oh,
and the offensive line is also a huge question mark, in my opinion. And that's why I put them last. But I have them going 10-7. I think their ceiling would be 12-5.
Okay.
If they somehow get the O-line to kind of mesh together. I mean, the only one they really have is Colton Miller. That's the only man I would put my trust in for blocking for Derek Carr on that team. But other than that, it's just really going to be a shootout. And another thing is their defense. I didn't like the Trayvon Mullen trade because I thought him and Nate Hobbs could be a good duo in the future for them, for Vegas. But it is what it is. I don't see a lot out of this team. I do think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't know. Maybe they go home after the first round.
Okay. 3, I have the Raiders. I think that they're going to go 11-6, ceiling 13-4. I think they can still potentially be a really good team. Love the additions of Devontae Adams. I think when a lot of people look at this team, the biggest thing that they point out is, oh, well, who's going to cover Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs out of the backfield, Devontae Adams. They have Carr at quarterback, which is all great. But I think when it's all said and done, the NFL, it matters in December and January. And we know, as we see with the Packers a lot of times, big play offenses aren't really sustainable when it comes to those big-time games or when it gets to colder weather, and you need an offensive line. The Raiders don't believe in offensive line, apparently, and their offensive line is bottom 5. And I really think... I think when you look at their defensive additions, I know how you feel about Chandler Jones, and I certainly agree. I don't think he's a scrub. I don't think he's bad, but I think that they're putting too much stock in that move, in the offseason move. I do think it's going to be a nice pairing with Max Crosby, but I think other than that, your defense for the Raiders, they don't really have a lot going. I think it's the worst defense in their division, and I think.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna play a big part, a major part when it comes, like I said, to later games in the season. Who's your 3?
3 is the Kansas City Chiefs. I have them going 11-6, and their ceiling could be 13-4, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I get they lose Tyreek Hill and Tyrann Mathieu. I get that. They also signed Justin Reed, but the biggest question mark for me is not only Juju, but Valdez-Scantling also has an injury history.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if both of them are out, I can't depend on 33-year-old Travis Kelce to take all the pressure on him in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is their running game hasn't always been there. It's been questionable in the playoffs, and that's what really put all that pressure into Pat Mahomes, making all those big plays when it came down to it in the AFC Championship. And we all know how that ended, and an interception, and they went home early. And as expected, like every year it seems like they're going to make the Super Bowl. And this year it's going to be a lot tougher, especially in this division. And that's why I have them going 11-6, and they're at my 3 spot.
I can't hit on it. I have them in a different spot, but yeah, for my second team, right, we're on 2.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think when it comes to on paper the clear-cut favorites, to me it's only down to 2 teams. It's down to the Chargers and the Chiefs. But something's just telling me to put my brakes on the Chargers a little bit, so I have them at 2. Right now I have the record at 12-5, ceiling 13-4. I do think that they have potential to win the Super Bowl. They have potential to be one of the best teams, one of the most well-rounded teams in the NFL. Justin Herbert, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, 5 in my opinion. They have the second best quarterback in that division. I think that the offense is going to continue to produce and make big plays. I think with Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, that offensive line, who's probably the best in the division, I think that their offense is going to be up there just like how it was the last 2 years. But the biggest question for the Chargers is their defense, and them adding J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, Kyle Van Noy, a lot of these players re-signing Derwin James. I feel like that's going to be... on paper, they look good. On paper, they look really good, but it's all about how it translates onto the field. And as I've been saying for the last year or so, they need to win big games in close games. And looking at Week 18 against the Raiders, that's a perfect example of how Justin Herbert can do all he can, but this defense just needs to show up, and I think that's why I have them at 2. It's because I need to see them do it first. I think on paper they certainly have the intangibles to do it, but I need to see them do it first for me to put them at number 1. So that's why I have it.
All right, well I have number 2 at the Denver Broncos. I love the Russell Wilson addition.
What's their record? What do you have the record as?
12-5.
Okay.
And their ceiling is 13-4 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, it's 11-6.
Mm-hmm.
I have them at 11-6, but their ceiling is 12-5. I really love the addition. Like you said, the 2-headed monster running backs with Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, I think, could be top 5 easily this year. The defensive side, Pat Surtain's only going to get better. The defensive front, like you said, I think they added DJ Jones from the 49ers, right? He had a career year last year. I think it's only going to get better. Yes, they got rid of Malik Reed, but, you put anybody in that defensive front, it seems like any type of bench player that comes off and helps them off gives them valuable minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But the offense, I feel like it really has potential. Potential to be top 5. And I think this is where they get over the hump of not beating the Chiefs for so long. And I think it's always been the quarterback play, in my opinion.
What has it been, 7 years?
I think ever since
6?
Peyton's been there. That's the last time they beat him.
Jesus.
But yeah, I think they get over the hump now.
Okay. Number 1 team, I think I'm no surprise when it comes to me. I have the Chiefs still. I feel like once I get proven otherwise, I'm not going to go against them. I'm just being honest. If you look at it, I think that they are going to have some identity issues coming into the year. Losing Tyreek Hill, he's a player.
Week 1.
Huh? Who did they play week 1? The Cardinals? They're not. We'll talk about the Cardinals in a few minutes, but I just think that their season is going to get off to a slower start, as we saw last year. They're going to have to pretty much learn a new way of methodically driving down the field and actually not relying on those big plays that they rely on Tyreek Hill for. But I think that they have big play potential players. As you know, Juju in the past, as you were saying, I think you have some valid points about their health, about all the offseason accusations that they have. But I think that they have big play potential. Juju, as we've seen in the past with the Steelers, he can make big plays. Valdez-Scantling, McCall Hardman, Travis Kelce. So I think that it's there. And especially with their head coach, Andy Reid, who could pretty much make anyone look great in that system. I think that they have some potential. And I think a few names that we got to look out for, Jerick McKinnon, Sky Moore, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Isaiah Pacheco, who is I would say he looks like a Derrick Henry, like the way he's like running around. You seen how big he is? That man is huge. That man is scary. And I think that offensive line, as you were saying, you have questions about their offensive line. I think their offensive line is manageable, and I think it's going to get better as the time goes on. As you know, like last year, they were, to me, in my opinion, they were borderline top 10, their offensive line. But as you were saying, later on in the year, they didn't produce, and I agree with that. But I do think that this offense is still going to be good. I think they're just going to restructure and revamp how their entire team is built. It's not going to be off of big plays like that anymore. And like I'm saying, I think when you have the best head coach in that division, you have the best quarterback in that division, anything can happen, and your team knows how to win big games. And that's kind of something that everyone else in that division doesn't have experience with. That's why I'm going with the Chiefs. I think once you knock them out of the top, I could agree with it. But as of now, I haven't seen it, so I'm going with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going Chargers for obvious reasons. All the acquisitions that they got on defense, which was the biggest problem these past 2 years, and why Justin Herbert hasn't made the playoffs. It has to be on their defense. I mean, he was being put into shootout situations almost week in and week out. J.C. Jackson, ball hawk. Khalil Mack can get to the quarterback whenever he needs to. Kyle Van Noy is a veteran. He's going to be a voice in that locker room. And Bryce Callahan as well. Probably one of the best slot corners when he's healthy. I like all these additions all around. And the O-line, like how you said, I think they'll progress even more this year. Especially with how many reps Rashawn Slater is getting against Joey and Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to make him better. Iron sharpens iron. And with Justin Herbert, he's obviously top 5 quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Easily. I think they go, I'm going to say 13-4.
Okay. And you, so, all right. So my question was...
Ceiling would, I mean,
Super Bowl,
14-2.
whatever.
Super Bowl, yeah.
My question is, you trust the Chargers when it comes to big games?
I mean, yeah, all the acquisitions that they've made have made big-time plays in big-time situations.
Okay. I mean... Listen, like I was saying, I've been going back and forth for months when it comes to the Chargers and the Chiefs. And if you look at the way that the Chiefs played them week 3, week 4, they beat them in Arrowhead. And then when I was there, December 16th or whatever, if it wasn't for Travis Kelce making that huge play in overtime, it would have been a different outcome. So yeah, I do agree. I think the Chargers have potential to be that team. But I just need to see it first. Like, I really just need to see it.
And they also seem to have gotten younger. I mean, they lost Jared Cook, and they also got Gerald Everett.
Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, that was another big pickup.
And another thing, too, is that they're slowly easing into getting probably one of the best wide receiver trios, depending how this year goes, and Josh Palmer, who Justin Herbert has clearly said is probably his favorite target this training camp.
Yeah, he makes a bunch of big plays like last year.
And it's only his second year this year.
So we're in agreement with the Raiders about how we think they're going to struggle. You had them at 4?
Yeah.
4? Okay.
But I think they'll all make the playoffs.
Oh, really? All of them make the playoffs. Okay. Well, so that's it for our AFC East. I mean, yeah, AFC West. Now we're going to go on to the NFC West. Go ahead with yours. Go with your
4 is pretty clear cut to me. The Seattle Seahawks, I have them at 5-12. Their ceiling is 7-10. Not a lot going right for the Seahawks. Pete Carroll is losing his mind and forgetting how to coach. It seems like he's just there to have fun, honestly. In my opinion, Drew Lock has done nothing to prove that he's a starting quarterback. Geno Smith, even, I haven't seen him prove anything to me that he's a reliable starting quarterback. The only positives I see on the offensive side is they got younger, and you have Noah Fant now, who I thought was a pretty decent tight end. Rashad Penny, DK Metcalf, but the defense literally has no one. They lost everybody. It's just hell shot right now, and they're last place.
I agree with you. I have them at last. I think DK and Tyler Lockett could potentially win you some games. But Geno Smith, I like him. He's just not a long-term answer by any means. Drew Lock, he, like Little Man said, he hasn't.
Bryce.
Yeah, he hasn't. For real. But Drew Lock hasn't shown anything in preseason. Pete Carroll, his play calling flaws for the longest time. They really do show once Russ is gone, and they're going to continue to show this season.
There.
Yeah, even when he's there. So that's all I'm gonna say. I have them at 4-13. Ceiling 7-10. Maybe they can string together some wins, but I don't see it with this team.
The next 3 are pretty. Could be up there. At 3, I have the Niners. That's 10-7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really do. Like I said, Kyle Shanahan, that whole team just really plays physical. They always play like no one can beat them, and that's what you really want to see in a football team. Maybe not all the talent is there, but they know deep down inside that they can just play smash mouth football and beat anybody that you can really throw up against them. I don't know what I'm expecting from Trey Lance, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's had good and bad in preseason. But, I mean, all the weapons are there. I don't know if Debo's going to have the same year. I feel like George Kittle is going to play a big role this year, much larger than he has these past couple seasons.
Uh-huh.
And with the defense, get Travarius Ward, Nick Bosa. I mean, that's a top 5 defense year in and year out, in my opinion. So their ceiling is 13-4.
13-4, okay. Would you have the record as?
10-7.
10-7, okay. Number 3, I have the Cardinals at 9-8. Ceiling 11-6. And as I told you, it's kind of funny how now 2 years in a row they kind of dwindle off in the end of the year, in the most important time of the year, when teams get better, when names are made in December and January, they kind of just fall off. Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, I think they actually have to show some growth and not just, they could potentially get to where they want to go. It's like these two guys need to show it when it matters. And a few stats for you: 2020 losing 5 of the last 7 when they were in position to even have the 1 or 2 seed, and then last year they lost 4 of the last 5, and the only win was against Little Men's Cowboys, and that was a very close game. And I think that for the Cardinals, looking at the way they performed against the Rams in the playoff game, that isn't really what you want to see with your team as well. When they were so close, the
game was over first quarter.
Yeah, they were the 1 seed for 2-3 months, and out of nowhere they getting blown out in the playoffs. And then no Hopkins for 6 weeks.
Oh.
Hollywood Brown's your number 1 option, which I don't think he's bad by any means, but I think that's going to cause for some trouble.
Yes.
You also lose Christian Kirk, so that's going to be a huge loss for them. And like I'm just saying, they need to show it when it matters. So I have them at 3, 9-8.
I have at 2. I have the Cardinals at 11-6.
Why?
And their ceiling would be 12-5.
Why?
Why? I feel like this could be the year that they show improvement, and that they can actually win football games towards the end of the year when it matters. Yes, they'll be a wild card team and probably like number 6 or 7, but I don't know. I just feel like they have a lot of talent. AJ Green, Rondell Moore, Marquise Brown, D Hop when he comes back. The defense, you lose Chandler Jones, but I mean they're still young and hungry. You do get Trayvon Mullen, like I said in that trade, which I really do like because the DBs. They really start to dwindle off as well in the second half of the season. So, I mean, we'll see. I do expect improvement. I think they should be going hard. And they're in the Hard Knocks this year, too.
Oh, the in-season,
so we're going to see a lot of what goes down, not on the field, but in the locker room as well.
I think the biggest thing as well with Kyler is that a lot of people want to see him be a leader now. And he's not he's not a vocal guy. You get me?
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people's knock on him was in that playoff game. But I hope they turn around. I like the Cardinals. I like Kyler Murray. Just haven't seen it. But for 2, I have the Niners. I think the Niners could be a very dangerous team this year. I just saw them in the playoffs last year taking out 2 very good teams with the Cowboys and the Packers in very physical ways. I think the biggest question mark, though, is quarterback, as we know. Trey Lance, we don't know what to expect from him. And they did re-sign Jimmy G to a 1-year option, which I think at first I was like, what are they doing? But then it kind of makes sense to me. He's the safest bet for them. But I think Trey Lance, his biggest ability right now is his legs, and Shanahan is a genius when it comes to the run game. I think he could really utilize him. I think Trey Lance also has a lot of help around him with Ayuk, Kittle, Debo. So I think that he's going to be fine for the time being. And I think that they can really rely on that defense and that run game when it comes to later games in the year. The defensive coordinator, D'Amico Ryans, who's very, very good. Why are you laughing? I mean, I like D'Amico Ryans. I think he's a good DC, but
He was a Philly.
yeah,
He was an Eagle.
yeah, he was the Eagle. That's why I like him. But I don't know. I just think about it. I think, as you know, also their win streak against the Rams, even though they didn't win when it mattered, but the win streak against the Rams was very. It's going to continue to show, and I think that they're also going to beat the Cardinals when it comes to later on in the year. Seahawks, I don't see a competition between them, so I think that they're even.
But they somehow lose to the Seahawks every year.
Somehow. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be different. The Seahawks are terrible, but I think that the Niners could close in on that 1 seed. I think it's going to be very, very close. I think it's going to be very, very close between them.
The 1 seed?
Yeah. I mean, the 1 seed in the division. In the division. Go ahead.
Let's see. Well, 1, I have the Rams at 12-5. I mean, the additions speak for themselves. Allen Robinson, Bobby Wagner, which they really needed. They really needed a middle linebacker to kind of guide that defense. Because when they kind of shuttered down a little, I mean, no one was really taking leadership. You had their players fighting each other like Taylor Rapp and Jalen Ramsey. And I feel like that's what they really needed in Bobby Wagner, and he's arguably the best linebacker in the game.
No, he's not. Sorry. Go ahead.
And then you add Allen Robinson. You're probably going to lose Odell. I don't think he's going to come back.
I don't think so.
But I think Allen Robinson is still in his prime, in my opinion. He's just, look at the quarterbacks they've been giving him. I mean, they're doing that man wrong. I believe his first 3-4 years, he had 1,000 yards. Like
he had top 10 potential, and he was right there. You know what I mean? So I agree.
Even when he came back with his torn ACL, he showed what he had.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, you re-sign Aaron Donald. It's just a lot of good things going right for the Super Bowl champs, and I think they repeat division winners.
I agree. I agree with their record as well. I had them at 12-5. Like you said, Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. You can never go wrong with that defensive trio. You have leaders at all three levels of the defense, but looking at it, like you were saying, Stafford, he's going to have another year under his belt with McVay. He's going to have Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp there, and I feel like the biggest thing with his team is just health, honestly.
Yeah.
We saw what happened to them in the Super Bowl with the receivers OBJ going down. They pretty much had no one besides Cooper Kupp. But I think that the biggest thing with this team is the strength of schedule plays into a factor. And looking at who they play, have their division opponents with the Cardinals, the 49ers twice. They have the AFC West. All the AFC West. They have the Packers, Bills opening night, the Saints, Cowboys, and the Buccaneers. Those are all going to be very, very tough games.
Don't they play the Eagles?
No, they don't. They play them next year. But those are going to be very, very tough games for them. And I think that they could certainly win those games, but their offensive line, Andrew Woodworth is gone now. He retired. He was probably their best offensive lineman. But I do think that they're just going to be... I think they're going to be okay. I think that they're going to be fine, 12-5.
They also lost Austin Corbett.
I forgot about that. Yeah, they lost him, so it's like...
The whole left side. Wasn't he the whole left side too?
I know they lost... I don't know who... I don't know who they lost, but I know that they lost at least two.
I do like No Boom though. I think he's pretty good. It's just the guard play. I don't know. I'm kind of questionable.
Yeah. So I have them at the number one in this division. But I do think that it's going to be between them and the 49ers. It's going to be very, very close. But I do think that the Rams just have the best head coach in that division. They have the best quarterback in that division, and I think that they're going to repeat again. So repeat division winners. So is there anything else you want to say?
I've covered it all.
Okay.
Nice predictions.
Well, guys, let us know what you guys think about our predictions. If you guys
Probably the
would
most
change
controversial
anything.
one, huh? For both AFC and NFC.
Probably, yeah. But let us know whatever you guys think. If you guys think Trey Lance is going to flourish, who you think is going to win the AFC West, as we know is the most controversial division right now. Just let us know. Give us any feedback. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.